He's only gone off again, hasn't he? I mean, what an amateur. What an amateur. Anyway, might as well start the show. We're probably better off without him, mate. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Ham Network for the review of the game earlier today. Watford 1, West Ham United 4. Matt, thoughts?
Pleasantly unexpected, like a couple of iffy moments, but by and large, it was actually quite a comfortable game. Which, on the whole, we should expect. Given the run of form we were in, it wasn't. Yeah, I don't know. Moyes rung the changes and changes worked, and it was quite an easy afternoon at the office in the end.
It was. Someone is saying I've got.
I'm going to just double check my.
That's it. Where we did there.
How's that?
Yep, better. Don't change it. Stop touching it.
I can't hear you. I've got new headphones. I can't hear you. There you go. Why don't I come?
Oh my God! Welcome back to the West Ham Network. This is your Matchday highlights review show with Anton, Stel, and Matt. So West Ham talk.
That's better.
Right, you can hear us now.
I can.
Right, on you go then. You do it. Go on.
No. Carry on.
No, just go for it. What was your kind of thing? You were asking Matt a question. So Matt,
no, I was asking about thoughts, and Matt, you were saying, considering our performances this month, an unexpected surprise, an unexpected pleasant surprise.
Well, like I said, look, if we go back to the Tottenham game, we had the same sort of thing where Tottenham hadn't really played for a while, and we were like, oh, they might be sluggish and sloppy. But actually, they were full of energy and were sharp and got it over the line. But like we said before the game, it did kind of look like it. That yes, Watford were full of energy, but you know what? I don't watch enough of Watford, and I'll maybe be generous saying that maybe the 3 weeks out disjointed them, but
I don't really know if it's disjointed them. Let's be brutally honest, right? I do think Watford have been struggling. Let's not beat about the bush here. Watford have struggled this year in general. They've brought in Ranieri and he's trying to change things. It's going to take time. They've been hit by COVID and some players were missing today, but I think most of them were back. They've got a player that's in form in Dennis, who of course scored a wonderful goal against us. But at the end of the day, I think it's what's come from it is the fact that West Ham fans doubted this West Ham team. Not saying me, I'm not saying you guys, but some West Ham fans doubted this team.
Well,
and
you look at what's been happening in social media for the past 2 weeks as if we're fighting relegation.
Yeah.
And
but equally though, people may think like, well, everything's not rosy the way that maybe we're coming across right now. But we have finished off this calendar year with more points that we got in the season, in the 86 season. We finished with this calendar year, we finished off 73 points in the Premier League. And people are panicking. Like,
let's put another twist on what you're saying. The game today, because we missed the game against Norwich, at least for us, and for quite a few teams actually, marks the halfway stage in the season. It's 19 games gone.
Yeah.
We're on 31 points.
So 9 points from safety, really.
Yeah, people saying about relegation battle. I think in like 7 of the last 8 years or 6 of the last 8 years, 36 points has kept you up.
Yeah.
So people saying about we're going to get sucked back into relegation battle. Burnley with 2 games in hand, admittedly, but you're down there. 18th on 11 points. That's his 20 points. Like realistically, if you double that fixture for the end of the season, you might say 62 points.
Yeah.
So we're going to be all right. People might say, "Well, that's not going to be top 4," but that is top 6 there or thereabouts again.
It's going to be top 6 or there or thereabouts, and it's going to be a struggle because we have dropped points. There's no denying that, and I guess people would understand. We went into this game a little bit apprehensive. There was the whole talk at the beginning of the game that has just been mentioned. Watford, they got their COVID break. We talked about it earlier on before the game started, how honest a team we are, not only during a game, but maybe a lot of other teams. We got 2 COVID cases. We know Fornals has got COVID at the moment, and we know Antonio was in isolation. I know it was his missus rather than himself having it, but other teams would have used that, especially as well as all the injuries, and they would have gone, we need a break. Whereas we don't do that. We didn't do that. We just soldiered on, and the only game that was cancelled was one that was requested by Norwich.
Well, it seems to be, though, that it does seem to be. I mean, I was talking to a friend there who's a football fan in general, and he's quite a knowledgeable football fan. And he was saying that what really pisses him off this time of year, and it happens every single year, is a lot of managers speak out about the amount of games that they have to play and how much impact it has on the teams. But the only kind of manager that doesn't really moan about it, as a neutral fan, this guy was telling me, he was like, Moyes doesn't really moan about it. Sometimes borderline Moyes turns around and goes, bring it on. Like, that's what he kind of says sometimes. And I get the concept behind it. But for me, I think what Moyes wanted more than anything was a reaction to Southampton, and he got that today. And that's what today's game was all about. He didn't want, he didn't want the result at Southampton. And it's, for me, it was an unlucky result. If I'm being really honest, I think it really was an unlucky result.
Yeah, I think so.
But there were signs, and I think we said that, didn't we, Matt? Or I can't even remember who I was speaking to. I felt like there were signs in that game that things were going to get hopefully a little bit better. And what a way to react today. I mean, the best way to react is go and get another result at Crystal Palace. But right now, it's a game at a time, and that's what Moyes says every single time he speaks. He says we need to take it a game at a time. All I'm thinking about yesterday was Watford today, and all he's thinking about today is Crystal Palace in a couple of days. And that's the way that we need to start thinking as fans.
Absolutely.
And like what Matt said, we're sitting 5th in the league, 31. What's 31 points, is it?
Yeah.
At the halfway stage. And we've hit a slump, and we're still in the last 16. I mean, it really does. Sometimes, when we do these shows, right? But when we do these shows and we react, I think I've built up a bit of a kind of understanding of how you all react and how I react. My reaction is based upon I'm not used to West Ham getting beat right now for the last calendar year. Yeah. But when we do get beat, it feels like shit. Yep. That's the shit feeling I used to get was what we had every single week. It was constantly let down. It was like, come on, and I had to face, but it never would happen. But this year it's different, and the last 18 months it's been different, and for me, that's thank you to Moyes. And ridiculous when I see people.
Be back in a minute, lads. All right.
Oh God,
back in a
gone.
second. Yeah, I'll be back in a second. Can you hear me? All right?
Yeah, he's got to fix the thumbnail.
Yeah.
I'm not fixing the thumbnail. People,
don't worry, it's getting fixed.
Thumbs up for the thumbnail.
But for me, that's what it comes down to, Matt. It's like we are. I don't want people to misconstrue what I'm saying. I'm not getting carried away. But, I was getting excited because we're West Ham fans and we're not used to what we've gone through for the last calendar year. But 73 points, mate, in 2021.
In a year is ridiculous.
Premier League. It's ridiculous for West Ham. A team that...
2021 is our best ever calendar year, I'm guessing.
Yeah. And who was I talking to? Was it... It was Jake's dad, Richard, today. And Richard said to me, people, we forget that we just survived relegation literally on the last game of the season. Was it at the end? Was it? Yeah.
18 months ago.
Yeah, 18 months ago.
Was it 2 games? The game before the last game of the season, we got a point at Old Trafford, and then
and
we had the Norwich game. The Villa game then didn't matter.
Yeah, and it's just about, for me, it's about pushing on. That's what we're doing. I'm still not getting carried. I don't want to get I'm scared to get carried away. But for me now, the next biggest thing is how we react with this result against Crystal Palace, because I do think that they are a bit of a different team.
Just want to pick something up before we go into the game, Anton. A little bit of education for you.
What?
In the preview last night.
Yeah, said, I know it's not a London derby. It was a mistake. It was a slip of the tongue. Calm your beans.
A slip of the tongue. You're a Scot. It's understandable.
It's fine. It's fine. I understand where it is.
For those who don't know,
up the M25. I know, mate.
Anton
I know.
said it was a London derby.
I can admit
because
when
he's
I'm wrong,
Scottish. Because he's Scottish, he doesn't know that Watford is not in London. I guess we'll let him off.
No, I do know it's not there. But I can admit when I'm wrong. Unlike you.
Only because I put you right.
You bloody donut.
Anyway, let's
Anyway,
get
the
into
thumbnail's getting fixed. I fixed it.
You better not have done.
It's getting bloody fixed later on. I swear to God, it is.
It's going back. It's going back.
Not. It's not.
People,
Carry on.
tell me what you all think of this, people. Isn't that? Hang on.
No.
Now that's a thumbnail and
They
a
can.
half.
Do you know what? They
Let
can
me
read it
know.
because it's actually on the big screen. But when it's on a small phone, they're like, "What's that
Shut up,
saying?"
mate.
What was that say?
I created it on my phone. So what are you
I know
talking
you
about?
bloody did.
Get your magnifying glass out.
Right, go on. Now.
Anyway, let's crack on with this game, shall we? So, as we've become accustomed to in the last few weeks, we had a really sloppy start, didn't we? What did we think of the first 8 minutes? Oh, no. Oh, before we do that, before we even go that far, what did you think of the announcement that Troy Deeney was back for...
That's also, hold on a minute. There is a spelling mistake there because that's not how you spell Deeney.
It is.
It's double E.
No, it's double E-N-E-Y.
Oh, who cares? They all know what I'm talking about. Now, who read the article? Because Matt highlighted it to me, and I was like incredulous. I said, "Come on, not that particular social media channel." He went, "Yeah, send me a link." And apparently, we were in danger. Troy Deeney was going to cause us havoc, wasn't he?
It wasn't
What
that.
did you think of that?
He was going to break the rules and leave Birmingham midway through the season before the transfer window.
Just come back and play against West Ham.
Just to come back and play against West Ham, and then just go to Birmingham as well.
We've got someone coming on who knows far more about football than Anton ever will do. So let's bring him on and let's have a chat with him. Good evening, Jake. How are you,
boy?
Jake, what did you think of the announcement that Troy Deeney was back to threaten West Ham?
Oh well, I can see that he threatened West Ham even when his name was spelt wrong.
Oh, farewell, Jake. That's your lot, mate. Go on, off you go, son.
Oh dear.
Love it.
Right, so let's start into the
Jake,
game.
listen, first and foremost, Jake's been to the game today. Jake has been to the game today.
Well, some of us had COVID.
Apparently,
some of us had COVID.
You said you didn't, mate. You said you've not got it.
Shut up, mate. I handed over
any excuse.
I handed over 3 tickets today, and you don't know how much that hurt me. That was so painful. Some lad came round, picked up the tickets, and I was almost crying. But there you go. There you go. Was it a good atmosphere, Jake? I mean, the fans singing out loud as usual.
Oh! It was brilliant. I mean, when that from when that third goal went in until the end, and when all the players came over, the atmosphere was buzzing in there, and all the Watford fans went home quietly, and yeah, the fans were brilliant as always. Players were brilliant, and it was good to bounce back.
Yeah, great. And what did you think of when we saw the lineup, Jake? I mean, what was the reaction of people at the game when they saw the lineup being announced?
Yeah, well, people were definitely concerned to not see Fornals in there. Of course, then we didn't know that he's now contracted COVID, which is unfortunate. So that's now Stella and Fornals in the COVID club. So, we looked at that.
And I'm more important than Fornals is, obviously, to the camp. So,
well, obviously, yeah. A lot of people were relieved to see your man Alpha Masuaku put on the bench.
Oh, mate, I had a prayer last night. Please don't use Masuaku, and my dream came true. There you go.
Yeah.
Carry on, Jake. Sorry.
Yeah. I think we all expected Noble to come in. Really. Oh crikey! Look at this. Bowen. Crikey. Bowen, Lanzini, Benrahma, which was a surprise because we all thought Benrahma was going to Africa Cup of Nations, but he just decided to rock up, and Antonio up front. So there's a few surprises in there. People calling for Areola. I thought Fabianski made some fantastic saves towards the end today as well. But
well, I'm going to talk about that near the end of the game because that debate continues, and I think it's interesting that he did pull off some good saves at the end of the game. But we'll get back to that later.
I mean, for me, kind of emulating what Jake said, most of us were calling for Masuaku not to start today, and our kind of wishes came true. It doesn't matter what we think, though. Moyes currently is going to utilise him if and when need be. And when he utilised them today, it worked today, albeit it was for what, 2-3 minutes? I don't even know how many minutes it was he got. But
it was 2 or 3 minutes too long. But anyway,
About 10 minutes, wasn't it?
but the situation really was, when we said about the preview last night, Matt, we were more concerned about Diop and Masuaku playing together, and it was pretty harsh that Johnson didn't play. But then Johnson did come off, and I don't know. Johnson did look like he had was there something not right? I don't know if he was holding his groin or.
They haven't mentioned anything yet. Maybe he was just a bit cramped or something. Maybe he hasn't really played much since he come back. Maybe they just went, you know what, I don't want to risk it.
It was pretty harsh that he obviously wasn't playing, but you could see before the 8 minutes that we were shaky. But once that goal went in, we reacted and we started to settle down a bit. But yeah, the first 10 minutes for me was shaky. Watford were getting hold of the ball. They were trying to come at us, and they were kind of coming at us straight through the middle, I found, as well. And the goal, I mean, what can we say? We can try and pick holes in that goal, but apart from maybe the fact that Fabianski's feet were planted, it was a very, very good goal from a striker who is very in form in this league.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with that first goal, we all sat in a stand and went, "Oh, here we go again." But we reacted to it really well, and yeah, the goal. I mean, Dawson committed, didn't get there, and sold a dummy. Here you go, here comes a Dawson bashing from Stab.
But he was sold a dummy. Let's be honest.
But he was. But to be fair, what I'm trying to, on that occasion, Dawson, as a centre-half, has done what any probable centre-half would do at that situation.
I disagree.
No, hold on a minute.
One thing I would say, if you go back to that photo...
but it's not even the photo, it's the actual game. Dawson has stood up to Dennis the first time, then was sold the dummy the second time, and was on the ground, so Dennis had the time for the third time to shoot.
Yeah.
And
what I was going to say, though, is if you go back to that photo...
A professional defender stands up until it's all shot.
Yeah, but
in
that's
that photo,
you asking for bloody,
I'm asking for a defender to defend. And
in that photo, where's Diop?
Exactly. Well, no, Matt is bang on. Matt's always bang on. Well done, Matt. Thank you.
And we agreed it during the game. Diop, where's he gone again? Diop disappeared and stood there watching.
Dawson did get sold the dummy. He did. Dawson stood up for as long as he thought he could. And when he felt the shot was coming in,
Premier League footballer, which we know he's not.
Still, you're picking holes, mate. You're picking holes.
I am picking holes because
on the flip side, if he shot the first time and Dawson doesn't dive, he also could have scored.
Hang on,
these
are our two first choice centre halves, and I don't expect Dawson.
Well, no, not are they?
Cheaply.
They're not our two first choice centre halves. They're not. They're the third and fourth choice. The first and second choice are injured.
At this moment in time,
Matt, get
there are
stuck
two
in,
first
mate.
choice centre halves.
Yeah, go on, Matt.
But you're absolutely right.
I would actually argue Diop's fourth choice and Dawson's third choice.
Yes, that's my boy. Yes.
I would agree. And I've got a thing up here. Is Diop going backwards? Because he had a terrible game today.
I must admit, our old mate Dan XG now, Fandangos, I saw a tweet he put out after the game. And he said, what do all the big teams see in Diop? Because every transfer window, we kept getting linked with these 30, 40, 50 million pound, Liverpool are going to go in for him, Man United are going to go in for him.
I think the thing is, mate, when you play with, and I think we might have said this before, even you might have said it before the game, when you play Diop with Zuma or Ogbonna, or when you play Dawson with Zuma or Ogbonna, they're different players. Because they've got the confidence of a Zuma next to them. And I think for a while we've been talking about how much would we like to see the French triangle with Areola in goal, Diop and Zuma. And you could see that probably working, because for Diop, he could build the confidence in playing alongside someone like Zuma. There isn't that same level of confidence when you've got Dawson and Diop. You saw them in the Europa League and they did all right, but look how inferior the opposition was in Europa League.
What you've got is a defender in Craig Dawson who was brought into West Ham, never to be a starting defender, has worked hard and deservedly so, found himself making a very good career for himself at the club. But he's a very different defender to every other defender we've got. He's your old school Premier League defender, no nonsense defender. And we saw that today because several times in the game, he decided to ping the ball 50, 60 yards up the field to nobody. But that was also because he felt like there was no other options in the game. But Dawson has never been that player anyway. To every now and then he does find a really good pass, but not all the time. So for me, when you've got Dawson and Diop, you're talking about I don't even say that Zuma and Ogbonna are levels above. They're all very different defenders. But for me, the two defenders you never play together are Ogbonna and Diop. Because what you see in Diop,
you said that,
but what you see in Diop, and which is what we saw in Southampton, is he steps out, and that's what he did in Southampton. He committed, but we didn't have the experience, high level experience of someone like Zuma who can clear alongside him. Because and Ogbonna wouldn't have cleared because Ogbonna would have been borderline in line with him. So you need that kind of defender in behind, and Dawson is your, I'm kind of on the wavelength of I think he comes in for harsh criticism. I think he stepped into this club for what, 2 million, 2.5 million. I don't even know what his fee was we paid for him.
About that, yeah.
Made a very good career, and to be brutally honest, has been pivotal as to the reason, one of the pivotal reasons why he's a big part of that jigsaw as to why West Ham have had 73 points in this calendar year.
Bang on.
He is. He really is. But yeah, right. I don't doubt it for a second. What you do miss with Dawson is 60-yard passes to no one, which is what you said, Stel, during the Matchday Live, are championship passes. They are. Yeah, they are. I think when he does it, he knows it. But equally, there was a couple of...
What I would say, though, is most of the time he does them. He does at least play it down the channel that the attacking player's in.
Yeah, all fair and well if there was someone running that channel. But mainly we've been defending. So when he does boot it out, there's no one up front to get it. But anyway, let's move on with the actual game itself. So Dawson was sold a dummy. We all agree on that. But then in last season, well, not even last season, the season before last, we go a goal down and the heads go down. Last season and this season, we go a goal down and it's like, no worry, brush ourselves off, we'll carry on. Because we've had a bad December, how worried were we that we weren't going to get back into this game? 8 minutes in, Matt, you and I were doing the watch along because Anton decided to take a break. And we sat there and I think we went quiet for I think we lost about 20 viewers because Matt and I just went quiet for a few minutes. And I mean, out of 30 viewers, 20 viewers is a lot. So, it's not good.
But you've only got 3 viewers, yeah.
And we've only got 3 viewers, so there you go. But what about in the crowd, Jake? How did fans feel when that first goal went in? Did we think in the crowd that we were going to get back in this, or was the jittering starting to come about?
I think it's a bit of both. I think it's, I think we always have belief in the kind of new West Ham that we've known to love in the last couple of years. But there was still, the feeling of, here we go. 5 minutes in, 1-0 down, another Southampton performance, another Wolves performance. But no, we then came out the blocks really well, and but there was definitely a feeling of, here we go again.
And then this man pops up, a great play between Bowen was involved. I can't remember who the triangle passes, but Bowen laid the ball into Thomas Souček. And great first hit, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it was right up the other end, but it did look like he fired it. I haven't seen the highlights, but it looked like he whacked it in the back of the net. So, happy days.
I came on at halftime and spoke to you lads because obviously I was watching the game, and what I really clocked with it was the ability. Like Souček was just getting further forward a lot in this game. He really was more than normal, and I think we all know why.
Yeah.
And he looked like his old self.
His old self. Now really this has been a debate,
but that goal was the kind of signal as to why it was like his old self, because he could have easily taken the first touch and tried to shoot, But the way that West Ham built up play, like you said, I think the ball came in from Soufal to Bowen. Bowen played the really good pass that opened up the space. What a run from Souček. I mean, the run is underestimated as well. A great run, and he hits it first time low, deep. The keeper, I think, was a bit unsure where it was going to go. It wasn't even in the corner. No, it wasn't in the corner.
Yeah.
No.
But it was so... I think because it was hit first time, it kind of almost caught the goalie out. Yeah. But here, we might as well address this now because it's a debate that's been going on. And I remember when I talked about it before, people were saying, well, and this is all about Declan and what position Declan should be playing and what position Souček should be playing. And I said a few times now that great that we've got probably one of the best midfielders, if not the best midfielder, or certainly the best English midfielder, as far as I'm concerned, at West Ham United in Declan Rice. And, what's been agreed is between him and Moyes, or if this is what we understand to have been the conversation, is that Declan has said, I want to get further forward. And Moyes has given him that license to do so. But that has hindered Thomas Souček's game. Now, I said this before and I was told, no, you should allow your best player to do what your best player wants to do. But for me, this is a team game. And if Declan for West Ham United is better doing what Noble did today and sitting there patrolling just in front of the back four, wouldn't that give Souček further license to go forward and grab these goals?
Can I just quickly interject there? For me, yes, I get the sentiment, but look where West Ham are this season, playing the way that we were, with Declan Rice being further forward. So, 4-2 at home away against Newcastle, beat Leicester 4-1. Declan Rice is playing further forward. 2-2 draw with Crystal Palace. 0-0 draw with Southampton. We get beat by Manchester United, unfortunately. We beat Leeds away. Declan Rice is going further forward. This season, I've heard this debate quite a lot, and it's just because we're not used to seeing it, but we're still on par with where we were last year. Happy anniversary, Russ, by the way. 10-year annivery.
Yeah, happy 10th, Russ.
But for me, I came on again at halftime and I said that the Declan Rice yellow card forced David Moyes to make a change, obviously.
What now? Jake, I see you wanted to come in and say something. Go on.
Yeah, it's a really difficult situation now because Souček has been well off it this season, and he looked like his old self getting forward, being a menace in the opposition box, and drilled a fantastic goal into the back of that. And it's really difficult as where we've got Declan Rice, who's undoubtedly our most valuable and precious player at West Ham. Does David Moyes go to him and say, hang on. Don't go forward. Don't do what you want to do. I want you to sit in because it's then for the better of the team. But then I don't see David Moyes doing that because he wants to keep on to Declan Rice as long as he.
Well, this is the conundrum, though, isn't it? Because it will only be the right choice if Declan scores as many goals as Souček scored last season.
Yeah.
Well.
It will only be. Oh no. There's no wells about it.
Well, no, there is because if West Ham progress. And Declan Rice doesn't get the goals, then surely that is...
Well, there's an alternative. If Declan and Souček share the number of goals, Souček was joint top goal scorer last season with 10. So if Declan and Souček at least equal that between them, then fair enough. It was the right choice. If Declan ends up with less goals and Souček ends up with less goals last season, you can't say it was something that worked. But I get what you're saying about
if we progress. It doesn't matter. I mean, I've got a stat here for you though because I'm just trying to find it. It's actually a really.
I missed the game as well today, mate. I hope you get better soon. Go on.
That's our 11th different player to have scored for West Ham away from home in the Premier League this season.
Yeah, but we had the same last season, mate.
No, I know, but the goals are getting even further shared again. And the thing is,
not necessarily. Last season was much the same. If you look at last season's stats,
I get it,
but you'll find much the same.
For me, I agree with the sentiment. But if we progress, if we finish 5th, and they have both scored less goals, then I get what you're saying. Like, well, would things be different if Declan Rice sat back? Would we get a further couple of points? But then you could look at last season and think, well, we should have beaten Newcastle. The 2 games we didn't beat them last year and it didn't work. But for me, it's putting the faith in, and I get the sentiment, but today Declan Rice wasn't there. We all know he will be back in for the Palace game.
Absolutely, of course he will.
Just what happens. It's just what happens in and around him.
An interesting stat is though two sets still. I mean, Thomas Tuchel, you said there, scored 10 goals last season in that more attacking position. So far this season, the Premier League, Declan Rice has scored 1 in that position, and we're halfway through the season. Make of that
What's that say, mate? Well, I know what I make of it, but clearly Anton thinks otherwise. So there you go.
Just as long as the team progress, I couldn't give two monkeys about bloody.
I want to see Souček get further forward, but let's move on. Benrahma makes it number 2. I mean, the man's on fire, isn't he? What do you make of his game today? You know, scored another goal, getting in the right places. Who wants to start with that?
I'll go, Matt. Go.
I said I wouldn't have played him today. You know, I said he didn't play very well. He didn't. However, I mean, Ant said on the preview last night he probably would play Benrahma because he might have a bit of confidence back from the goal. He did play a lot. I think a lot better today compared to the other day. He still at times doesn't pick out the right pass in the final third. However, the ball did stick to him a lot more today. He didn't lose the ball as much. His touches and passing was a lot sharper than it was the other day. Little lucky with a goal, but he was in the right place. He got a shot on target, and that's all you can do sometimes. It's doesn't really suit us, does it? I mean, I think he might be able to play at the weekend before he gets on the plane to Africa. So, no, he's finding form right in time to go off the African Cup of Nations. But no, on the whole, I thought he had a good game.
I think the thing is with Benny is like he definitely is that sort of kind of luxurious player who's been turned into a workhorse by David Moyes, which has had a kind of little different effect on his game, and it's taken him a while for West Ham fans and him to get, you know, into the swing of things under the Moyes regime. But, you know, after scoring the other day and then scoring again today, me and Matt were saying last night, he's a confidence player sometimes as well. And that's why when we come on to the topic of Vlasic, you know, when players score goals, that's what you want. And so I've been disappointed a lot, as probably most people have been, with that Benrahma's final third. Like, his final third hasn't been great at all.
Would anyone like to?
What a fantastic run he made. You underestimate not just the fact it's his goal, it's a bloody great run that he made into the box. Totally no Watford player around him and found himself that space to put the ball into the back of the net. So fair play.
Does anyone want to make a quick comment about Liverpool's slide down the league? They're losing at the moment.
They certainly are.
Anyway,
losing.
Let's move on. Okay, so 2-1 at half time. All look quite good. In all honesty, with the greatest of respect to Watford, because they have been a difficult team for us in the past, after their first 10 minutes, they absolutely showed nothing, unless I'm mistaken.
No, completely not. No, definitely. I think the way you look at it is we dominated it going into half time, and you thought that third goal, and then, you know, it's happy days, get the flip flops out and 3 points. But you know, I did worry him in midfield today with Noble up against Sissoko. I like Sissoko. He's a big, physical, athletic midfielder, but they almost sat him playing in Noble's role. They didn't get him to come forward as much, which I was surprised at, to be honest. But yeah, you could tell the Watford are without their star man Ismaila Sarr, because after that 10th minute they were poor.
And you've just mentioned him. Let's talk about Captain Fantastic. I mean, I won't lie. Yeah, I've seen a comment earlier on, or the Noble haters, etc. Not, you know, I won't lie. When I saw Noble's name on the team sheet, I went, you know, we kind of knew, you know, that he was going to start, and I ate my words because he had an excellent game. I mean,
that's because for me, Moyes has now learned with and when and where to use Mark Noble. You know, people have, and Matt, I can see you smirk, but, you know, I think sometimes people underestimate what Moyes is doing when it comes to Mark Noble, and there's no denying about it. Even the commentator said it today. You can hear him as clear as mud by saying There's no pace in the defence and there's no pace in the midfield because you've got Dawson and Mark Noble. But what Mark Noble does in a game like today is he calms everything down when everything needs to be calmed down. And that's what he did. And that's why he played the game today. You know, it's fine that people are sitting there and calling for Alex Kroll, but Moyes wants points on the board and he knows what he's going to get with Mark Noble. We've still got to see what we're going to get with Alex Kroll. Really, we are. And for me, Mark Noble came in and gave a captain Mr. West Ham performance today. And he was up there for me. He was up there for one of the players that should have got man of the match because he completely dominated that midfield. And Sissoko, as Jake said, is a very good player, and he really never had a chance. No one through the middle had a chance literally after 10 minutes.
Matt, you were singing his praises, weren't you, during the game?
Yeah, I said the same thing. I said I didn't want him. When I say I didn't want him to start, it's not because I didn't like Noble. It's because I thought I made the point that if Crowell doesn't play today, what was the point of bringing in Crowell? I think the commentator said he come on at the bench in the 90th minute, and that was his first minutes in the Premier League. And we brought him in 6 months ago. But what you're going to get from Noble. Like, it does seem that he's finally sort of adapted his game and realised that he needs to sit and not like headless chicken run about as much. And I think someone in the chat made the point during the first half, and they said, "Have we gone to a 3-5-2?"
Mm-hmm.
It
looked like he was playing a sweeper.
Yeah, it looked like at times like Lanzini dropped into the middle with Sojek, and Mark Noble was almost just sitting in the middle of the back three. But it was a very good performance from him. I was surprised he lasted 90 minutes, but as Ant said, maybe Moyes is just picking and choosing when he plays. Like, I have no question that he won't play again on Saturday because Mark knows no way Noble could play 90 minutes twice in a week. But I mean, the pundits were full of praise of him as well after the game. I think it was Matthew Upson said that was his first start in the Premier League this season. It's hard to do it and switch on when you're not played very often. You're only playing some of the cup games and the occasional game. But he did. He come on. He dictated the tempo at times for us. He still actually picked out a good passing. He kept spraying the ball wide, cleared up things we needed to, and it was. I said he was arguing man of the match. He had a very, very good performance, and as always, a well-taken penalty.
And the thing is, there's an incident that happens before the Mark Noble penalty, but for me, he what was the point I was going to make? Totally lost my point.
Was it the disallowed goal?
No, that I was going to talk about that. Oh, Mark Noble, by scoring that goal today is equals second with Paolo Di Canio for the all-time Premier League goal scorers on 47 goals now?
47, yep.
Yeah, so Antonio sits number one, Noble and Di Canio share the number 2 spot as well with that one. But yeah, the incident I was going to talk to you about was the disallowed goal.
Let's discuss that briefly because, I mean, we were watching the game. Matt and I were watching the game. It seemed really innocuous. Souček's challenge on the Watford player, a game played on, and then we sort of looking at it, and we saw everyone was on side, and etc. And then all of a sudden it was called back. And how many passes, Matt, was it? About 4 or 5 passes later?
About 5 passes later, right?
I mean...
And I said at the time, I can understand, once VAR has singled out just the tackle and Souček doesn't make contact with the ball, I can understand. I'm like, well, in that isolated incident, if it's not considering a penalty, if you're not considering a goal, and that was the isolated incident, it's one would go either way. Some refs will just go, there wasn't enough contact to call a foul. Some refs will say, we haven't played the ball as a foul. I did see that Moyes was like absolutely going mad about it after the game, considering the fact we won 4-1. And he was like, I thought we've got away from these weak, awful challenges. I thought, we've got away from that. It's supposed to be. He's like, that they start getting given as that's a foul every week because he challenges fouls everywhere.
When we saw it again, he didn't get the ball. We get that now. Yeah. But it didn't look
was
like
a weak. It was a weak one. Yeah,
it is. It absolutely is a weak one. And again, you put our shoe in the other foot. If that happened and that was Watford, we'd be going.
Well, that's what I said. You wouldn't want to see it.
Yeah, we'd be going crazy.
But also, you take it out of that isolated tackle. Let's live with handball this season. unless the handball directly leads, as in like 3 touches from it to a goal or is a goal, the handball doesn't count. You know, there was the Robertson goal the other weekend against Tottenham for Liverpool, where Salah handballs it, but then the ball gets cleared and whipped back in, and Robertson scores. And they're like, oh well, because the handball happened, then the ball gets cleared and it's whipped back in and they score. It doesn't matter. You think with that is 2 different phases of play. How does Souček make an attack on a halfway line, passing it into someone else who passes it into the middle to Antonio, who goes back out on the wing? Then he gets crossed in, the defender half clears it, and then Bowen scores. You think about 6-7 players touch the ball by the time the ball's in the back of the net.
Exactly. This
and
is
it's
what I don't
travelled
get.
60 yards.
From the stand.
Go on.
From the stand, I mean, from where we saw it, it looked incredibly soft, and you just get the feeling, and there was a lot of people getting extremely frustrated around us, and you just think that VAR and the referees and everybody looking at this is trying to find every single and anything to stop West Ham from doing well. It's a fact. I'm sorry, it is a fact, and people were getting extremely frustrated around us.
This is the thing, Jake. You know, you don't want to go down that conspiracy route, do you? But it's beginning to feel like, you know, every effort is, you know, like when VAR is called against the goal for us, you know, it takes forever to be decided. When VAR get a decision against us for a foul, a free kick or whatever, it's almost immediate. It's like, yeah, that's no problem. And it doesn't feel that way. And you don't want to go down that conspiracy route, you know?
Like we said, well, you go the same way. Look at the, we spoke about the penalty, but the decision for the penalty. The referee gives a corner.
Yeah.
The referee gave a corner. And I don't know what you saw from where you've seen, Jake, but there was only 2 options the referee could give. It was a goal kick or it's a penalty.
I mean, West Ham fans went absolutely livid when he gave a corner, and you know, we were leaning down because we were quite high up, and it was right down by the goal there, and it looked similar to the Chelsea one from where we were, and you know as soon as they go to the monitor, you know it's going to be overturned. We knew it with the Bowen goal. We knew it with the penalty. You know, I don't think I've seen one VAR decision stay the same when they've been told to go and look at the monitor.
No.
That's just seems to be what it is. But there was a lot of.
You know, the inconsistency is that the referees are being asked to go and look at certain issues, and then when other ones look even more blatant, they're not. You know, and it's as if they don't want to overrule the referee, because we've had issues where we've been saying, ref, go and look at the monitor because that's a foul, that's a free kick, that's a whatever.
But unless they get called,
yeah,
unless they get called by VAR, like, you know, I don't know because I didn't see the game, but the Burnley game, did that get put forward to the ref to have a look at?
I can't even remember.
The Dawson foul.
The one.
No, that wasn't called over. No.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But
okay. Sorry, go on.
It's just so frustrating, and you know, West Ham fans are getting extremely agitated, and people around us. I mean, they started chanting about the referee and then VAR, and it just got to the feeling now where West Ham fans are just fed up of just everything in that VAR and referees are doing within their power to
way.
You know, and even Antonio got extremely frustrated today with similar tackles, and they weren't being given, and Antonio and all the players were just like, come on, man.
I mean, Antonio was having a wrestling match on that pitch, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And not one ball went for him.
The thing with VAR is that, you know, when we look back before VAR, we would have gone, we need something to come in to give West Ham the run of the luck. You think VAR comes in and you think, excellent, that'll give West Ham the run of the luck, but it's actually done the opposite. Now, I know for a fact other teams are feeling the same. Everyone knows that. I'm just telling you from our point of view that before VAR existed, we'd be sitting there going, oh my God, man, we should have had a penalty. We should have had
difference is, though, Anton,
but now it's not helped us.
VAR, exactly. VAR came in to address the wrongs, and what it's doing is it's increasing the wrongs. If it was addressing the wrongs, everyone would go, you know what, VAR is doing its job. But unfortunately, it's adding to the wrongs that are going on. And it's not just West Ham. There are teams below us that have had just as bad, if not worse, decisions against them.
Oh, yeah.
And the irony is, when you are down at the bottom of the league, every decision goes against you. And we've experienced that. And now we're near the top. And you don't want to be that conspiracy theorist, but it does feel like they're doing all they can in order for West Ham not to finish in a high position.
And it's funny you say that about Antonio as well. There was one incident in the game. I can't remember the name of the player. He pushed Antonio.
He pushed Antonio.
The Watford player. And then the referee blew the whistle and gave against the foul against Antonio.
Antonio went livid.
Salataria, number 31.
The one with the stupid haircut.
Yeah. So essentially, it's like a West Ham throw.
Loser.
And this is all. It was literally the two of them going at it for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And the centre back was just trying to wind up Antonio more and more and more to try and get him to react.
Yeah, they targeted him.
Because first of all, I think Antonio tried to make a run, didn't he? And the guy just held on to him, so Antonio just like tackled him onto the floor.
Just want to
and he's put out a thing on Twitter.
Just want to pick up on this comment here. Thank you, Crosshammer. At least someone understands.
One thing
about Crosshammer.
Everything.
One thing, my sources were telling me something about there was a Shrek picture or something earlier on. Something to do with Shrek.
I don't know anything about that, Jake. Oh, you mean that one, Jake? Oh, that one. Anton misguiding poor young Jake.
Well,
would you not mean at least it's not bloody Scrooge, isn't it?
well, you know, my sources made myself aware of that when I got home. So interesting.
Who pressed that?
That's what you're supposed to do. You know, that's what you're supposed to do.
Anyway,
that is definitely DJ Rusty Beeswell. That
pushing into the end of the game, though. I mean, a great double save from Fabianski at the end of the game.
Let's talk about it at the end, because I want to talk about the next, because we've done the penalty, and of course, you know, if there's anyone that you need to take a penalty, it's only one man, isn't it? But even that, I mean, why did it take so long for them to make a decision on that penalty when the goalie was nowhere near?
Well, to actually, you know what? To go back to what Jake said, Jake said about they always try and find a way to not give it to us. You know, I've seen people would just make decisions on penalties and just go, right, penalty. And they don't check anything else. And the next day it's like, oh, Big 16 gets VAR decision, but actually if they'd have gone back, the guy was offside. So first of all, they tried to say the cross went out of the pitch, which it didn't. Antonio got there before it went out. Then they tried to say Antonio was offside when he's about 6 yards onside. Defender left it, like I said, and then the ref gave a corner.
But the thing is,
right, let's move on.
But you've got to give massive credit to Jared Bowen for that, because that's the electrifying thing that he can do. He got there from absolutely nothing, and he created that moment, you know, from absolutely nothing. And I think that statement there, getting better and better, is true. I think his stats this season are consistently getting better than each of the 2 seasons he's been at West Ham. And he's consistently doing it. And like people have said, you know, banging a couple of extra goals. And he's obviously he's firing on all cylinders right now. And he should be in the next England squad.
And everyone's getting worried now. Everyone's getting worried because they've read the rumours that Klopp is about to make a bid.
Going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere, people.
Go on, Stowe, you tell him what's happening.
Well, certainly that's not happening. That's for damn sure. He ain't going to bloody...
Not for the price they keep floating about. Right?
Well, forget the bloody price. To sit on the bench whilst Salah is over at AFCON.
Well, so then when this is what it is, isn't it?
Owen will sit on the bench again.
Yeah.
Shut up, people. Stop believing
Klopp's
everything
knackered himself because he's about to lose Salah and Mane for a month.
Well, that's his problem, not ours. So,
and he hasn't got to replace him.
That's his problem.
Let's take a moment here to address this comment from
Frank.
Do you think Frank and you will look at? Yeah, right. So, I mean, come on, people. We're 3-1 up, and then the icing on the cake, you know. And how happy are we for this man to get a goal?
Do you know what's really funny? He's made runs like that all bloody season, and his teammates have never passed him the ball.
No, they haven't.
About 2 or 3 times. But today, who was it? Was it Bowen?
Bowen, yeah.
A ridiculous run down the right hand side, and fair play to him. And when I remember it was like slow motion, I was like, "Fucking pass it to Vlasic! Pass it to Vlasic!"
We got underage kids online, mate.
Sorry,
Stop swearing,
Jake.
please.
Sorry, Jake. I just
Well, the funny thing was, I know it's not the goal. Funny thing was, he almost done the exact same thing the minute before, and Antonio contrived to miss when it was easier to score. You know, Bowen had made a similar run along the edge of the box, squared it to Antonio. Antonio smashed it straight to the goalkeeper. But I'm pretty sure at that point, West Ham were trying to run down the clock.
All he had to do was dink it. That's all he had to do, didn't he? But anyway,
But,
it's Antonio.
He said it was brilliant. It was a brilliant piece of skill on the byline to suck in the defender, run round him. And you think, you know what? In fairness, he'd made an angle for a shot, Bowen. But he did. He looked up and he pulled it back for Vlasic. And, you know, everyone went to celebrate him. He clearly has, you know, the camaraderie, the team spirit. He obviously has an effect on the team. I don't know if you saw him, Jake might have noticed, sitting in the crowd, but Fabianski run the entire length of the pitch to go and celebrate with him.
Yeah, run the whole length of the pitch.
One mention before I forget is the West Ham fan that decided to run on the pitch. He was in the Watford end. He ran. I don't know whether they showed it on the telly, but they ran.
I've got the clips of it.
Basically, what happened is I think it was the third goal. So from the complete opposite end, this West Ham fan came out of the stand, ripped his jacket off. He had his West Ham shirt off. He ran up. Suchek gave a big high five, and then he got dragged off. And then we were all singing, "Let him go, let him go." And then
did he not knee slide? Did he not knee slide into the away fans?
Yeah, he knew some of the away fans, and we were all going like this, and then the coppers got him, and they must have chucked him out. But as well,
I mean, he should have just ran into the crowd and hidden away.
Exactly,
jumping in the way end, did it? Yeah, run off.
But the one thing was as well was the block next to us. There was like nobody in it, but I'd say out of 200 seats, there was probably 50 taken, and towards the end, more people were standing up and coming. And they were all set, and then we sang "Stand Up If You're West Ham," and then about 50 people stood up in the away in the home end. It was brilliant.
Nice one. Oh well. So 4-1. I want to talk about a couple of players at the end of this review. First off, and we've already discussed it. You know, Bowen. I mean, I said quite early on in the season he's fast becoming my Hammer of the Year. And I can't see any reason why he shouldn't be. I mean, we all know what Declan's
Rice.
like. We all know what Declan's like. But this guy, I mean, an England call sooner or later?
Absolutely.
Well, I saw something.
Gets his head out of his Man United and Liverpool arse.
Well, I saw something. Where is it? I'm going to find it now. Is there was somebody put this on Twitter earlier, and I think it was, where is it? Let me just find it 2 seconds. And you know, it surprised me. Not going to lie, right there it is. I think so. Where is it? There it is. So Saka's played 78 games and Bowen's played 77, and on goals and assists, Bowen beats him.
And yet
Saka gets picked, but you know.
Well, enough said. Okay, that was one player.
Enough said for the 16-hour day I've had. So move this on, Sto.
I don't want to.
Go on, Jakey boy.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Right, we're better off without him, Matt. I don't want to end the show on a downer. So let's do this one first.
Oh God.
Honestly, you're Mr. Negative. No, he's not going back.
I'm not.
Do you know what?
No,
this is where I'm at with him, right? This is where I'm at with him. West Ham, the team are in a dip. We're in a dip. Today's result hopefully can be the start of a West Ham coming out of a dip. Diop, hasn't been playing great, but neither have several other players. So I don't really know if Diop is going backwards yet. I think that West Ham are struggling. We've been hit with 3 massive injuries, 3 big players that are so pivotal to West Ham season: Zuma, Ogbonna, and Krezi. And the worrying thing about Krezi is nobody knows when he's coming back. Not a single person knows when he's due to come back, and that's the worrying thing.
Let's not rely on that social media rag that thought Deeney was going to start today, because they're suggesting that Creswell's back training on grass again.
Well, hopefully,
probably what they meant is Creswell's smoking grass in order to relieve the back pain he's got.
Just hopefully,
You know?
hopefully, I hope they're right. I mean, I hope he is back. I mean, that would be a great thing. But
I
just
he is,
think,
but I'm worried. If you have a
it's
chip bone in your back, that's serious.
yeah.
You know,
I think it's. Do you know what? I think Diop is a player that will play in confidence. I hear people saying and slagging him off, and I hear people digging him out. You're right to your own opinion. I just think that he is now getting a run of games in the team, albeit being forced. It's time for him to keep stepping up and step up. And today, apart from that one goal, when you said, Matt, he should have been there or thereabouts supporting Dawson. Apart from that, they shut up shop. Yes, okay, Watford didn't really offer anything in attack. But at the end of the day, they walk away with that with some confidence. And
what do
that's
you think of that comment, Victor? Diop needs a leader alongside him.
Is short of confidence, it looks like Diop. And I said it a few times in the game where it was just his decision making, where he's lacking confidence. There was like one in the second half where it was just like a long ball down the channel, and he could either just put it Dawson style straight out for a throw in, or he could lay it off to Johnson, or he even had time to take a touch if he wanted, right? And he's so out of confidence. His confidence is so shot, he didn't make a decision. And he did like a combination of all three. He kicked it about 3 yards, sold Johnson short, and in the end, Souček was there to sweep up and put it out for a throw-in. There was a time in the first half when he should have just been doing a Dawson, put his foot through it and his body through it, clearing it out for a throw-in, and he bottled it. He pulled out of it, and again, he got lucky with the ricochet and went out. But he looks so short on confidence right now. He like I always said, like if we had other fit defenders, he would be one you'd pull out the firing line for a week or two just to get his confidence back, to let him settle and then come back in again. But because we haven't got any, he's just in the firing line. Hopefully, like you said, we conceded a goal in the first 5 minutes, but after that we didn't concede. So hopefully he might build a bit of confidence on that going forward. But he Dawson makes mistakes, but Dawson doesn't get unfazed by it.
Yeah.
Dawson will make a mistake, and he'll be like, "I made a mistake. Right, let's go again." Well, whereas, Diop seems to shoulder the burden.
I disagree with that comment about Dawson because
Dawson never hides away. Dawson never hides away.
But there is a panic in him at times, and we saw that at the tail end of last season when he, the Newcastle game, where he flew in, to make a challenge, and it was rash and kind of. It was the beginning of the lull for him. Oh, shut up, mate. It was the beginning of the lull for him, where he had a series of bad games at the end of last season. Now, I agree. Dawson, I think, was probably the better of the two today. But as I said at the beginning of the game, excuse me, as I said at the beginning of the show, for a professional central defender, he shouldn't have been sold a dummy, and yet for a professional central defender, he shouldn't have been sold a dummy. And also, but Diop did disappear. Diop just stood there and watched what was going on, so they both were at fault today. All right. One more.
Right, lads, I'm gonna head because we could be here all night, and
no, we can't because I'm gonna be heading as well.
We need on, Jake.
Stel, you can check my Matchday vlog out now for people that don't put a sickie at the last minute. So
love it. All these
go on, Jake.
The effort.
Get in there, Jake. Boy. Get in there, Jakey boy. Go on, get off. It's bedtime. Go on.
Bye.
Don't forget to drink your hot milk before you go to bed. Go on. Good night.
Very funny. There we go. Cheers, lads. Catch you soon.
Good night, Jake. Good night, mate.
Night, Jake.
Just the last thing, and it is going back to the debate again. Now, we said it at the start of the show. Fabianski pulled off a couple of really decent saves near the end of the game. Does he still deserve to start ahead of Areola in a Premier League game?
On today's performance, yes.
On Southampton's performance?
I mean, he started.
But even then, I'd say that's a iffy argument, because I would say even today's performance, two saves at the end seems to be covering up the cracks of the rest of the game.
Exactly my thinking, mate. Exactly.
Yes, he did make the save from the corner was a brilliant tip over the crossbar. The other save, one he spread himself and the defenders smashed it against his face. But he came out and spread himself well. However, Josh King essentially missed an open goal in the second half from a free kick. Antonio had a poor header and headed it straight up in the air in the penalty box. They won the second header, and Josh King had a header 3 yards out. And I'm not being funny, it wasn't like it was a whipped-in ball. It was a floated header that floated about 10 yards in the air, and then Josh King's fought the defender to win the header and headed it wide. It's 3 yards out, and Fabianski sat on his line. If Josh King puts that on target, that ball goes in, and I think then it's 3-2, and the game changes. There's another one as well when there was a big ball 2 times. A big ball lumped in. Again, it's about 3 yards out in the 6-yard box, and Johnson's having to try and clear it because Fabianski hasn't come out to claim it. And there was one in the first half when there was a big ball. It was a free kick in the first half, lumped in, and Dawson on the edge of the penalty box has got no one around him. Gets no communication from Fabianski, tries to head it away, and the guy had a rebound that shot the Dawson blocked and went out for a throw-in.
Go on,
yes,
Anton,
he does make good saves, and his reflex saving has never been in question. But his ability to command his box and his ability to come off his line seems to be reversing. Like he's just retracted. He's retreated on himself. Like he doesn't seem to ever come off his line anymore.
That's fine, though.
He just sits on it and just goes, defender's going to deal with it, and then I'll try and deal whatever happens after.
But you just got.
Whereas Areola, we've seen, will come and get stuff.
You've got to come on the mindset.
So yes, the 2 saves are good, but
you've got to come on the point of what David Moyes is thinking, and you know yourself, David Moyes won't make a change now. He won't, especially after those saves and things like that. I do think it's time eventually to see a little bit of Areola in the Premier League, but I certainly don't think it's going to be now. Not in particular after that game today. I think it's a debate that the fans have, but I don't think there's a debate in the coaching team, personally.
Okay, it's interesting. I'm a little bit with Matt on this. I think.
Don't get me wrong. I would think that Moyes will carry on playing because, like you said. However, I wouldn't come out of it saying that Fabianski had a good game because he made 2 saves at the end when it didn't really matter. But, yeah, if they score one of them, we win 4-2. Like there was more key points in the game when he should have made stuff that he didn't do. When from a goalkeeper, I'm thinking, you know what? Fair enough. If balls are coming in and landing on the penalty spot, don't come get them, not a problem. If you're not one of the keepers that doesn't come for stuff, that's fine. But everyone knows the 6-yard box is yours. Anything in the 6-yard box, you should be coming to get. And if you don't, then if someone scores, then it's your fault because why haven't you come to get it? That's where I'm at. But like you said, Moyes will probably go, oh, well, Fabianski made them good saves. Yeah, we'll carry on playing.
I'm of that view. I just think sometimes, he's stuck to his goal line. And I think when I look back at the Southampton game, for example, I know in hindsight you can say, oh, it could have been different. But I think Areola has got greater reach. And if you're going to stick on your goal line, I'd favour Areola.
You need a taller goalkeeper who's going to be able to dive further across.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what worries me about Fabianski. He did come out for that one challenge where it hit him in a great save, hit him in the face. Doesn't matter where it hits you. When a goalkeeper saves it, he saves it. But I think for me at the moment, Areola is looking more like an all-rounded goalie, whereas Fabianski is a good shot stopper. Now, but that's because he's on his, But then when he's on his line and when it's close to the goal, you're absolutely right, Matt. He ain't got a chance. Like the header that you were saying earlier on, if that went up and Dennis headed it into the corner, he would never have saved it. That could have put him up. That could have put him 3-2. But anyway, all right, we're done. Anything else before we go? We got the game coming up against Palace on New Year's Day. That ain't going to be an easy game. They got a lot of pace in their team. So we got Declan back, which is great.
They're going to be missing Zaha.
Is he suspended? I thought
he's suspended.
Was
that double yellow?
Or no, it was double yellow. So he'll be back. He was missing today.
Back then. But they do have.
They clearly didn't miss him at all.
Does Vieira make the game? I know he was missing.
He should do. He's missed 2 games, so he should be back as well.
Yeah. So it depends on who's going to be available for them. But they're a tougher.
Zaha depends. I mean, I was going to get onto. You mentioned earlier about the African Cup of Nations. And they did mention, I don't know if it applies to everyone, they did mention something. Before we come on, I had the Liverpool-Leicester game on. And they were talking about Salah and Mane. They did mention something about Premier League players getting a bit more leeway of time to play because we're like the only European nation that doesn't have a winter break. So I don't know if they were saying they were allowed until the 7th or including the 7th. I don't know if it was this week or next weekend they're allowed to play and then they've got to go. So it might be around Zaha. He might already gone to African Nations. But if he's gone, then Benrahma will be gone as well. I'm not sure.
I think they're going before the 1st, yeah, because I think it starts on the 4th, doesn't it, or something like that, or the 10th, or something quite early.
I'm not sure.
Anyway, all right, lads, that's that. We're done.
Cool.
Any other comments before we go?
No, what day's today? The 28th. So the game's on New Year's Day, which means we'll probably have a couple of shows over the next couple of days. I think we'll probably do the preview probably Thursday. Don't fancy doing it on New Year's Eve. And we'll probably do a Matchday live on New Year's Day as well. So keep subscribe to the channel.
I'm going to try and do an annual review if we can fit one in. So maybe you're going to have to do that. Well, we'll talk about it offline. But cool. We're going to try and do like a year look at West Ham because it's been a great year. It's been a great year. You know, so if we can fit one in,
Zaha will just make the cutoff.
Will he?
Apparently, they said they can release players on the 3rd.
All right, so that means Benrahma will be available as well. So,
yeah.
So look out if we can get fit in an annual review, we will do that. As Anton said, there'll be a preview, Matchday Live, and all that sort of stuff. Thank you all for watching, and have a good evening.
Cool. Bye.